with your applause, let's say hello to ID Solutions Head of Business Strategy, Piruza Harutjunjan. Welcome. Next to her, representing the financial industry, is the Financial Industry Association board member, Jānis Brazovskis. Welcome, Jānis. Then following next is the person who is the spearhead from the public sector when it comes to digital transformation, who represents the Ministry of Smart Administration and Regional Development. He's the Deputy State Secretary for Digital Transformation, Gatis Ozols. Welcome, Gatis. And of course, security is important to all of us. And the number one entity here in Latvia representing on a real practical level, of course, is the CERT.LV, and she is the head of the Latvian Cyber Incident Response Agency, Baiba Kaškina. Welcome, Baiba. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you, Jānis. I will give a microphone back to you, and please do share it amongst your colleagues. So let's jump right into our panel discussion, but let's start maybe with a vote, with the visual vote, thumbs up or thumbs down, or maybe in the middle. How do you see? Is digital identity, is it still a technical tool, or is it already part of critical infrastructure? How critical is it? Is it part of critical infrastructure? Then thumbs up, maybe then in the middle, or thumbs down. Let's do a visual vote. What do you think? Thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle right now, thumbs up for everyone. Okay, then that means this discussion is very important, okay? If you all show thumbs down, well, I don't think we would have something to talk about, but yes, we do. And Gatis, I want to start with you. I just want to gather the status quo from all of your points of view. The digital identity is quite real, and it's not something theoretical. EU ID wallet is here, smart ID is working strong, and I think is embedded into our daily lives. We authenticate through many means of devices. How do you see the role of digital identity today in Latvia, and what is the role in the future? Give us a sense from a state's perspective.
No, thank you, and happy birthday to Gatis Solutions. Happily that we have such a partnership here, also from Estonian colleagues. Identity, actually, it's a crucial thing for all the digital things that we, not only digital, but for all the things that happen in current society. So I think the identification in context of today's talk of specific person in digital environment is one of the most essential things to keep all those things running up. And to identify it in a trusted and secure way, it becomes more and more important and essential. So it becomes an strategic and also critical asset for each of the countries and the businesses. In Latvia currently, if I speak from the context of a public sector, there are around 40 to 50 million authentication for public services. So as ambassador of Estonia already recognized Estonia's digital government success, it's similar here in Latvia. So more than 80% of the people are accessing government services on a daily basis. So the way how government services are being available for the citizens is more and more digital. In this context, it's nothing more important to have such digital and trusted way how to ensure the identity of the citizens. The importance will grow and grow, and the identity wallet is just one way of the development. You said it's already here. Kalev said you don't expect Christmas presents, so it will not be until end of this year. But I think we'll get there sooner or later. And the main issue beyond that is to have more of the person's control of how much of their identity they're willing to share, how much of their attributes they are willing to share. And I think it will become a new way how public services, not only but also private services, will become more available for the citizens, with also adjusted and citizens controlled kind of sharing of their personal data.
Mm-hmm. Would you say that sharing of personal data is challenge number one for you right now, or is there other, like the main challenge? Because this will be a follow-up question to all of you, so we lay our cards on the table.
Maybe not. It's not main, but it's one of the rights of the citizens, and we overshared our personal data, I think, and we don't even remember where we have shared, where we have given access to our personal data. I think one of those things that wallet have to solve is this person's control on the share of their data. But I think more important currently is that the caller was speaking about is this intent that doesn't match what the person are doing with their identity. So we have like a powerful tools, we have powerful devices. We have also ability to use high stakes services completely digitally, but there is those risks in connection to that. For example, we can use also notary services. And when the fraud comes into those digital services, it becomes more critical to have this notion of what is the intent and what the factually person is doing with their identities. Mm-hmm.
Let's turn to Jānis, because I think the financial aspect of everything is the one that hits you the most, right? We hear about fraud, but when we hear about, so much money was taken, then it's like a whole different level in the headline. So I want to know that side as well. Digital identity in the financial sector. How do you look at the aspect that everything is getting so centralized in a direct and indirect way? Everything is controlled through one device. It's super easy. How has this transformed the financial sector, and what is the challenge number one for you and your colleagues right now?
Thank you. First of all, happy birthday, and also happy birthday to our members, since we all together are in Latvia with, I don't know, many years probably, since you're in Latvia, you're our members. We are very proud of that. Secondly, I think that in a broader context, if we talk about digital identity, then I thought to myself for a couple of days, what is digital identity? But I think in the Baltics, it's not just some sort of a core businesses, it's also some sort of oxygen. So it's not visible, it's there, but we are using that all the time. And it helped us a lot in terms of developed services as well. I think that we are talking about a lot of fintechs. I guess that fintechs would not be possible without, digital identity, digital onboarding, digital, transactions and stuff like that. So definitely we are very happy and we are very proud of that, what we are doing in the Baltics, because from our perspective, definitely, on a cross-border basis, we probably some of the unique example in Europe, how to use digital identity in order to provide services. Definitely there are risks there, but as Carlo quite rightly mentioned, fraud is rampant and everywhere and always was there. So, and since I'm not among those that think that probably we would get rid of the greediness of the people, then definitely the fraud will be there. Our task is altogether how to protect people, but I don't think that it's just a technical issue. It's also a behavioral issue. And really what really worries probably ourselves is that fraudsters also are using those tools and are getting more and more smart, and probably the challenges in the future, if we talk about the future, then definitely AI and AI as a fraud agent is already there. So that we have to cope. And again, the cooperation is vital there. And I just can underline what was called the cooperation in the field of fraud prevention among the Baltic states, among the financial institutions, and also law enforcement and government institutions are on a very high level. I think that we should be proud of that.
Thank you, Jānis, for that. Piruza, I want to turn to you first. First of all, congratulations to you as well. Happy that you are here in Riga, in Latvia, and a compliment to you and your colleagues, because I think the solution you have developed has soaked so much into our daily lives that we consider it, as Jānis said, as air that we breathe, basically. It's there, and we only actually realize the importance of it when it's not working, right? So how do you see this evolution of digital identity? And maybe a follow-up question to this would be, is it creating some sort of a blind spot for us from the human behavior side? Because it's so easy, right? Just type in the code, everything works.
Yep, correct. It's so easy, and throughout these 25 years, really the adoption is there. We have many transactions done by end users across Baltics daily, and it's very justified expectation that our services should work all the time. And there are no people, or at least I hope there are very few people who want to go back to pre-technology era or become wild, and all the services are already being developed assuming that our services work. And we need to perform to address those expectations. And if to speak about blind spots, really, I would like again to mention that we need to work to integrate the awareness into our services with growing adoption, because the awareness and the end user education is not a one-off project, and still we need to make sure that people understand that with PIN2, with entering PIN2, they actually sign and give legally binding consent, similarly to signing the contract, or in case of Estonia, also like marrying or divorcing and selling the apartment and so on. So it was mentioned also, most of the public services here in Latvia are done online. Previously when the switch happened, probably we were more careful. So we were checking all the transactions in our online banking 20 years ago, and now it's so simple. So basically, we are not talking about how secure are the flows, the technology, but really how aware the user is about the consent. And when we are looking into vulnerabilities that we see based on some fraud vectors, then it's more about how we can improve our services to bring users' attention to the intent, and to make everything in our power to ensure that we did all we can to show the user what he or she is actually confirming.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that, Baiba. I wanted to leave you the last one in this round for you to listen to everything and to reflect on it, because I think our society is getting so digital, but in the same time so relaxed. Because hey, it's all working. If it's working, then it must be true, right? What do the real use cases with boots on the ground, as they say, show you, and what is the other side of the coin that maybe others don't even see because a shield protects us?
Yes, well, we've been around for some time as ID Solutions, and happy birthday. And of course, we've seen how technology has evolved. When this started, we didn't have too many safeguards in place. Now things have improved a lot. When people are asked to approve something, they see which company is asking that, they see the amount of money they are approving, etc., etc. So there are a lot of little steps to make people more aware. And has that helped? Well, I would like to say yes, but in reality, probably not that much. People are still careless, still pushing the buttons, still not reading. And this is frustrating for all of us working in this area and trying to protect. Because as you said, technology is there, and it's very good. It's proven, it works, it's nice, but first of all, fraudsters, of course, are evolving alongside, and they know very well how technology works, what are the safeguards, and how to possibly convince people to overcome them. Second is still people still are greedy, lazy, and all that, unfortunately, and that's not going to change. Well, let's admit that. So I don't really have any like sort of breakthrough ideas how to improve the situation. although there is some hope for, if we look at the data from last year from Latvian Financial Association on the amount of money that was stolen versus amount of money that was prevented from being stolen, then the money that has been saved was larger amount for the first time as we see the statistics evolving. And that's, again, I don't think it's because people are getting more aware. It's because the safety switches are getting better and banks are working harder to really spot those sort of elements that can signal the fraud and stop it before it happens. And unfortunately, I think that's the area where we have more hope, where we can hope that we can develop even more better technology. Well, let's recall AI here, that it will be on our side on this one, that might change the scene for our good. For how long, we'll see. I think it will be a never-ending battle. That's for sure.
What I gathered from all of your responses is that, okay, technology is developing, we're getting stronger and all this, and happy to hear actually about this amount that was saved that is actually bigger than the one lost, because from one point of view, I was very surprised to hear at the end of the year that in Latvia specifically, there was more money taken away from people than the year before. And I was so surprised because you and your colleagues are doing a wonderful campaign. Others are getting involved to educate people, to show them, to tell them, but still the number is growing. Maybe an open question to all. What do you see? What is the game changer in this to reducing the number? Is there something in the works, something that you see that could be this umbrella solution for people to open their eyes and change their behavior? Yes, Baiba, let's start with you.
Not an optimistic one, but still. We thought that DNS firewall at country level will be a game changer. That was 2 years ago. And we really thought that, okay, once it's implemented country-wise, there must be a drop. And we didn't see it. Because if people want to invest in shady companies, they will find a way.
They will click.
They will find a way how to switch off DNS firewall, how to get to the site they want, and there is no helping that.
Well, that's an interesting insight, right? Because there was a big campaign. Everyone was installing the firewall, and still looks like the human side still prevails. Gatis.
Now, I don't believe that people will change their behavior rapidly, and then they all will become like cautious about the potential threats. Okay, for some moment, for some campaigns, but then you'll be relaxed by the nice user interfaces, and you have to go smoothly through services. And you will again. It will be. I think it will be upon the technology which will help or not help to secure us. From the perspective also as digital services, I think both in public and private sector, in some early years and some years before, they were mostly used initially by early adopters that are most like a tech-oriented people. They are more aware of those risks as well. And now it becomes more and more mainstream. You can get it through the phone. You don't even need some basic skills. You can, because everything like is foolproof and so on. So you have to there are more people also with lower skill of awareness will access those services and use those services. So probably it's more up to technologies that to secure and provide those guardrails.
Jānis, do you agree? Will technology save us?
I think, I get that I'm in fraud prevention probably for a decade at least. So I think that there is now a silver bullet, definitely. Technology also is not a silver bullet. What this year also was, some sort of game changers that also our good colleagues from telcos at least last joined us and also just share information with themselves and just also to stop those spoofing calls and something like that. And so it shows also in the numbers. But as already colleagues told that, it's a question of time and the poor fraudsters will circumvent it. I think that there should be some sort of a holistic approach. I mean, technology definitely is a core. It's very important. Education and literacy also is very important, but it's probably we should evolve from that type of education that please do not click or on a link, on a more broader and holistic approach. A real digital literacy, that it's very broad. It's not just be aware of some small stuff. It should be holistic. Cooperation between countries, cooperation between players, also cooperation private-public partnerships. That can help, and also technology is a core, but it's some sort of an ecosystem. And also, I think in the future we should think about the re-victimization of the people, how we are just providing some sort of psychological help to them, and how to getting back in services, and there should be some investment also on a public side as well.
I love it. This is a true birthday celebration where we're so happy in the beginning and now there's no hope, but there is some hope. Piruzas.
Yeah, you asked that, you mentioned that you were surprised to see the increased number of money that people lost, although, like it was mentioned by Baiba, and thank you for mentioning that, this is rarely mentioned, that actually the fraud prevented, the numbers are much bigger. And that's happening simply because from business perspective, it's very scalable business. And for years, we thought that maybe like niche languages are protecting us, not. And basically, I agree, no umbrella solution or silver bullet, a holistic approach should be applied. And for example, there are some things that we can do on our solution side. The Smart ID Plus ensures that the transaction is confirmed at the same place where it's initiated by this QR code scanning, and also app-to-app solution ensures that you initiate transaction in the phone, and then Smart ID is within the same phone where you confirm it. So there are some things that we can improve from service side, but definitely a lot more that we can do jointly. When it comes, for example, to additional frictions to the service, if we do it for all the flows, then basically very quickly it will become another unnoticed step that the end user just confirms. But what we can do together, we can specify what are these high critical, high value, very, very important transactions where additional step is needed, and apply that to again gain the user's attention, and all these kind of things, and awareness, education, of course. So technically, we need to make sure that fraud becomes so expensive, so it's not anymore a scalable business, and fraudsters just will direct and shift their focus somewhere else, not Baltics.
All right, very good, very good. That's a good wish. By the way, the QR code is active. I see that there are some questions coming in, so I will dedicate time in about 10 minutes for your questions, also with a microphone. So let's get ready for that. But in a true birthday, there's always some drama, right? You go to an event, you open up, you get familiar, and then there's drama. I want to throw this drama point into our discussion because I prepared a lot of questions, but actually we don't have enough time for all of them. But we have people from different sides here in the panel, and we have a wonderful audience. I see professionals from all sorts of life. So what are the things that you expect from others? Because in birthdays, we never blame ourselves, right? We expect from others. What do you expect from other sides? What should be done to build a stronger digital identity, maybe to reduce fraud? So in the 2051, which Carlo was talking about, our picture is brightly colored and everyone's talking about the Baltics, very strong digital identity. Wow. What do you expect from others? What are the expectations? And it's okay, we've had our drinks, we can be open, right? It's water, it's fine. All right, who's first? Gatis.
I think there comes also, we have to refer to the Carlos presentation on the ecosystem. I think the main thing is that each of the ecosystem members recognize his responsibility about what he can do in the current context, and so everyone works on the same team to, if we speak about the fraud and trust, to provide and ensure that. I think this is the most important thing. Apart from the government side, we are expecting 99 plus 9999 uptime. So that would be wonderful, because if we look at current numbers of how many smart ID is used for the government services, it's up to 60% of our identification in Latvia is done currently for public services through our central authentication model is done by smart ID. So it's pretty essential service to run also government services, and it has also been proven that it's important that we have this approaches of open ecosystem here in Latvia, that both there are several service providers, two are the main ones, and when one is down, then the second is running, and most of the people, I think, in Latvia are using the both of the services. So I think from our side, it's important that we have this ecosystem approach, and everyone is doing their job.
Mm-hmm. So to translate, you're expecting the solution providers to take the responsibility of making everything safe, right? So because it's the tool.
Solution providers, but also not only solution for this holistic approach. Also, our side, from the government side, is to ensure this basic trainings, digital skills programs that we are also running. But you have to have a combination of this. Telcos also have to do their part.
Mm-hmm. Piruza, I want you to take back at Gatis. What do you think about this?
About expectations.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe it's too naive to expect the EU to have a better view of let's make EU great again. So just the expectation, but as Kalev mentioned, will not happen in near 25 years. When it comes to expectations to the ecosystem players that we work together, then I would say that I was just now thinking that we are reinvesting, as also you saw from Kalev's presentation, most of our profits into R&D. So very nice reality, the expectation that is fulfilled in order to still build solutions that are secure and user-friendly and so on. Since we are in Latvia, I would say that in Latvia there is a law that now requires a high level of age verification, and we have a solution for that. So definitely we expect this to be taken into use faster now, and of course we don't just sit and wait, and we do something to make it happen. And I was also asked in the morning what are the innovations that we are working on. And basically the innovations that we already did are available on the market, and now we need to make sure that that those are adopted, because we believe that those are great things that we did. And again, it's not about expectation, but daily cooperation when we can together make things happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Piruza. Jānis, what are expectations from the financial industry side?
First of all, I think that it's not just expectation, it's really my strong belief and dream that we will stick to that level of cooperation what we have established. So, and we will not lose that. I do have some reservations about that EU ID. Hope that it will not degrade our level in the Baltic states. I think that I'm not very aware of that, but let's hope. And my probably dreams is that Kalev mentioned capitalism. I really believe that we all will stand on the capitalist foundations. Then. Some sort of a prevention of a fraud of stuff like that. It's investment. It's investment for everyone, not just for financial institutions. And so we realize that. And on EU level, that's still those are services what we are going to provide in a wallet. And it's very important how the private sector would be able to monetize through that wallet, and I don't think that EU can rely on just on a public money. So I think that we have proven in last years that it's not the case in terms of resilience, in terms of our defense industry, stuff like that. So my strong belief is that we will still have capitalism here, and we will still have a democratic solution. So it's very
Mm-hmm. Baiba, expectations from your sides. Everyone is here. You can tell them all.
Of course. Well, I'm glad that we were on a little bit grim note with the last question, but now it's getting more cheerful and more sort of really future-looking. And even though I'm usually the least optimistic person, but in this case, I think we are not in a bad position at all. In the Baltics, we do have these strong digital identities, and that is a huge benefit, a huge plus compared to a lot of regions in the world. Yes, it does open new vulnerabilities, it does make our attack surface different, but still it's a huge benefit. Also, we are very fast and agile, and that's why we are one of the first ones in the EU, in the world, doing many things. Well, Estonians, of course, are always first doing many things, but we are closely followed by, in most instances, not all. So my hope for the future is really that we keep this speed and agility, because this ability to change and ability to adapt is something that we will need with a great extent in the years to come, considering all the uncertainty, all the developments geopolitically, all the changes with technology, etc., etc. So speed and agility and ability to adapt. And I don't want to give special tasks to anyone in particular, but I really hope to keep this cooperation, as Jānis said, in a very high level, because that is one of the key elements for everything, for making services work, for solving security problems, for catching criminals, etc., etc. And let's keep this mindset that we are small, but that's a good thing in this regard. Thank you.
I want to turn to the audience as our time here on the stage is nearing the end before the break. Are there any brave people here in the audience who want to raise their hand and ask a question in person, face to face? Everyone's looking down now. I already sent in the questions. Artis, why are you asking me these questions? We have a few questions on the platform right here. Everything in between. Are the elections safe and is EU lagging behind? A variety to choose from. An interesting one right here. Could weak personal data protection in the United States and China be the reason why we are lagging behind here in the EU as well? How do you see our role in this global connected world? Because, of course, we can make safe solutions here, but still people are using platforms and solutions that are being developed all around the world. And as we've patted ourselves on the back, we're doing quite good with the digital identity and safety, but others are lagging behind. What do you see? How do you see this connected world as a playground we're playing in, Baiba?
I'll try to be a short one, and I think this is a very broad question because privacy is something that we value a lot, that is very dear to us, and it's part of our identity. But of course, it also prevents us from doing things in a way that China does. And I'm not saying it's good, but it's just different. And sometimes they have much more freedom to, well, find the guilty person or to do something else. So we have to recognize this. And yeah, I'll give the chance to others to continue on this topic.
Any thoughts on this?
I guess it's very important how we look on that issue, not a problem. I think if you are able to develop something in Europe, which really, is EU privacy laws compliant, then it's a competitive edge. Then you can go with your solution to the China and US. So that's my point. Definitely, it's probably not very easy, but if you look from a positive side, then probably it's a competitive edge. And you can expand your services from Europe on that. It's probably not very easy, but it's doable. Otherwise, if you look on those privacy issues, certainly sometimes probably we are exaggerating here in Europe. But on the other hand, I think that for a democratic society, it's a very important. I don't think that we are able to compromise democratic values for, I don't know, by a development or something like that. I think that the democratic values is something at the core, and we shouldn't consider them as an enemy of society or enemy of development or something like that.
Okay, we can turn probably to the next question. We've been dancing around the wallets and maybe not getting it for Christmas, but there's a question here. Is it true that the deadlines might not be met? And what does that mean for us, for our reputation? Gatis, most probably you have to take this one.
Currently, there is talks and rumors and about that not everything is possible until the Christmas of this year, because there's not only about some specific individual state projects or development speed, it's also about certification schemes being developed still in the progress and all the necessary kind of institutions put in place that could certify those wallets and so on, so on. So there are a lot of things still going on in process, and of course, each country is also doing their own projects and implementing. Some countries already actually have some kind of wallets, but it's up then to be in line with this ADAS 2. You have to do sort of certification and all those things. So it's about probably that what we are in Latvia heading, we recognize that there will not be a fully kind of feature-rich digital wallet until end of this year. This has been said also and recognized officially. So we are heading for some initial first. You may say it's like not a prototype, but the first version with some limited functionality, and then to build upon it in the next year. So, but I think that officially the date hasn't been changed from the Commission side. So we'll see if in autumn happens something, but everyone is working on the date, at least for some kind of implementations.
And now I want to complement the maybe pragmatic approach to developing things, because sometimes we fall for the game of being first and doing it on time. But I'd rather we do it right for the solutions to work than for us to be first, because the consequence of doing something just fast, just for the sake of the deadline, is I think that's a very dangerous approach, right, guys?
It is so, yeah. But there is sometimes you need like a helpful push also from the side to move a bit quicker. But in this, I think you have to be rational and go step by step.
Are there any questions in the audience? Has someone thought up of something that you want to ask right now? Well, we have to wrap it up right now. And for this last question, I want to return to Carlos' presentation. Love the theme of 2051. How do you imagine digital identity? Maybe 2051 is pretty far in the future, but where does it take us? What solutions does it give? Maybe what society changes have happened by 2051 that you see from your point of perspective that can be a wishful thought? If you want to, you can close your eyes and imagine if that helps you. But what's the future looking like from your point of view and digital identity? Piruza, please be the brave one in this question. Take the stage.
So I believe that the challenges that we are having today will mostly remain. So we need to resolve those technological changes and interoperability issues, and ultimately the success signal will be still the amount of end user each identity provider has. So yeah, there will be people willing to do something, and basically the challenges that we need to resolve need to be resolved in a way that still ensures the usability part. So there are people who are willing to use the services, and in a way that it's secure. So the trust service providers will still have trust and high adoption. Really don't want to see the opposite happening even in 30 years.
Fingers crossed for that. Jānis, financial transactions, put your hand on the crystal ball. What will they look like?
Well, yeah, first of all, I would be happy to be alive.
Oh, we'll be here. We have already invitations in our email for 2051.
I will turn 80 at that year. But anyway, Yeah, I think from a financial transactions, I think definitely it's blockchain and crypto is still there. Probably it's more widely used in traditional financial services as well. So we are doing that more and more remotely. But on the other hand, also I think that we have developed some sort of real digital education for people, and that our people also have acquired the necessary skills to cope with that new digital world. But otherwise, I think that really future in terms of financial services, in terms of those digital services, I think is a bright one. Yeah, I strongly believe that.
All right, Gatis, what should the citizens be able to do in the future with their digital identities?
I don't know how it will look, but I hope when they will do everything that it will be interoperable, at least in EU and across the sectors. So currently we have some islands of identities at a national. Then we had like identities and signatures some years ago, worked together with Estonian, Lithuanian colleagues to make it interoperable in the Baltics. Now we have this EU bubble, but still it's about adoption and usage. Now we've switched also involved the Ukraine colleagues this year.
Congratulations on that.
So we're looking forward that it will become interoperable because Europe and also with large service providers that most of the services will, or important part of the service will be provided also by global players. So it has to be interoperable in that way as well. And from the perspective of like a technical, I believe it will switch. It will become less as a technical tool. It will grow into the fabric of our usage of our services, because we remember some years ago we have like a specific cards. They're only the cards. Now we have like a mobile apps. At some point there are some security and IT features that are kind of implemented that you actually are pinged on your phone when you are accessing some service, or it like who remembers now about setting up an antivirus software on your like a computer? It was like some 10 years ago. It was main consideration when you get the new laptop where to get what's the best antivirus program. So probably now it's into the
baked into the system, right?
Based into the system, into the fabrics of usage of. So probably I would hope that identity would also grow in such a fabric of our usage of digital environment.
Fingers crossed for that. Baiba, I remember you said you're rarely positive, but take us home.
Well, thanks. Well, I believe that in 25 years we will have survived those large milestones or disasters that we are now looking forward, like post-quantum cryptography and how AI will deal with this and that, and we'll probably be quite familiar how to deal with all that. By the way, there is another milestone or disaster operating up at 2038 when the Linux will run out of numbers. So all Linux boxes will stop operating, and hopefully it will not impact any of us, and we will not be relying on any legacy hardware, software by then. But well, more seriously, I think the question really is if we will be able to keep our personal data protection as a cornerstone of our European philosophy, because otherwise I think, well, we can look at China or we can remember old Orwell's book 1984. This is one of the futures that is definitely possible from the technology point of view, and it's only from our ethical point of view that we don't allow us to get there, and that we still keep in control where our data goes and how much it is used. And the other, I think, worry or hope is that we will still have enough people that understand technology to the core, because that's the difficult part. With AI, to program things, it's easy, and many other things will be very, very easy. But we will still need some engineers that actually know how it all works to bits and bytes. let's hope we have enough of those.
Let's definitely hope for that. And if we're looking at the future, a quote that comes to mind is from Back to the Future, where Professor Brown said, "Roads, where we're going, we don't need roads." So I wish everyone this ambition to look into the future and not look at practical things, but fly into the air with your ideas. But in the same time, protect the users, protect the people, protect the data, less fraud in the future. And I want to thank all of you for laying the foundation for the next 25 years, so we have things to do, right? Otherwise it would be boring. Let's hope that all the best wishes come together. And by the way, everything is recorded, so in the 50th celebration we'll come back to you and ask you, how did it go? Ladies and gentlemen, round of applause to our dear panel members, Baiba, Gatis, Jānis and Piruza. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.